Hi everyone, I wanted to quickly go over some directions for tuning your instrument with your pegs. I know this is something that we have not done in class yet, and we are working on setting up an instrument transportation procedure so that you can send your instruments to me to fix. But I would prefer you to try it at home first, maybe have your parents give you a hand if you're nervous about doing it, because if you send it to me, it's going to take several days to get back to you. I'd like you to at least give it a try at home first, and then if it doesn't work, send it in. So the important thing to remember when you're turning your pegs is the motion. You are turning it, but more than turning it is you're pushing in, right? These pegs need to be pushed in order to stick. If they get pulled out, they're going to completely unravel. And so, well, let me loosen mine a little bit so I don't break it. When you're turning, you really don't have to turn much to get a result. Um, Here's my string. I'm going to turn it just a little bit. And now I'm already getting closer to the note I wanted. There I am. So I went from about here, I don't know if you can see the angle, there till here. It was barely a quarter of a turn, and it was a little bit higher. It was barely a quarter of a turn, and that got me to where I needed to be. So in most cases, you're really just going to be doing a small turn like that, even on bigger instruments, on cellos or violas, unless the string is completely unraveled, and then you will have to turn it more. Sometimes, in some of our school instruments are a little bit finicky. You might find that you're turning and pushing, and it's just not holding. It's slipping every time. One thing to check is that the way that the strings are wound, it should be nice in order like that, making a little coil. Sometimes when you wind them up, the string crosses over itself, and it doesn't hold as easily that way as if you kind of line it up in order the way it was here. So that's another important thing to remember. Also remember that you're not going to get it right on the money with the peg. The idea is to get it close, and then you use the fine tuners to do the fine tuning to get it a little bit closer. So and always turn maybe a little bit less than you think you might need. Remember, you can turn the string past its intended pitch without it breaking, but if you go too far, it will break. So it's better to turn it a little bit less and then have to do another turn than go too much and break it. If for some reason your string, became unraveled and it was still in one piece and you could put it back on, they do need to be attached down here in the tailpiece. You can see it just kind of slides into that little notch right there. So you might need there's a little like gold circle, metal circle at the end that needs to be slid into there. And the last thing to check for is as you're turning the peg, the string is kind of pulling on the bridge. And so you have to be careful that if the bridge starts to tilt, that you put it back in its spot. If the bridge tilts too much, eventually it could just collapse and either break or then you have four strings to tune instead of one. So always keep an eye to make sure that bridge is up like that. So those are just some good things to follow as you're tuning your instrument. If you want to send me a video of what your strings sound like, I can kind of give you some pointers on how, are you too tight or are you too loose, that kind of stuff. But I'd like you to try it at home first before we send it in through the instrument transportation. So give it a try, and please email me with any questions.